The Ash, Lutzi and Susie O'Neill podcast.
G'day guys, Mitch here with another episode of What to Watch heading into this weekend. Now, House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel series, wrapped up its second season on Monday. So if you've been waiting to binge the entire thing, it's 8 episodes, all available right now on Binge. And on Tuesday, HBO announced that a season 4 would not only happen, but also serve as the series' last. Now, season 3 was greenlit after the second season's premiere episode scored huge numbers only a couple of months ago, and the studio says production will kick off sometime in early 2025 for a premiere somewhere in 2026. So again, it will be a 2-year gap between seasons. HBO had a big day actually, also revealed a short teaser for the latest Game of Thrones spin-off series, which we will be getting next year. It's called Night of the Seven Kingdoms, as well as another short tease for the second season of The Last of Us, which will also be hitting next year. D23 is happening right now. It's basically Disney's own Comic-Con, so there's a whole heap of first looks and big announcements coming out over this weekend. At least that's what we can expect. We'll go through it in next week's episode. As far as titles to look for beyond House of the Dragon, which you can be watching right now, hitting cinemas this weekend, It Ends With Us. Blake Lively leads the adaptation of the book, which is directed by co-star Justin Baldoni, who you might know as Raphael from Jane the Virgin. That's in cinemas now. Borderlands as well. It's an adaptation of the video game, although I think the word adaptation is used very loosely. The early reviews on this are not good at all. They are all coming out of the US, nothing out of Australia because they didn't even hold any early screenings, which should tell you a lot. If they don't want critics or fans getting a look ahead of the official release just in time for people to jump online and talk about how bad this film is, it's usually an indication that the film is actually bad. It's directed by Eli Roth, who is most famous for horror thrillers like Hostel and Hostel 2, last year's Thanksgiving, and also The Green Inferno from a couple of years ago. He, again, apparently rewrote the script to a point where the initial screenwriter of the movie actually asked for his name to be removed from the final film. It's a shame because it's got a great cast. Cate Blanchett is in a very un-Cate Blanchett-like movie. Kevin Hart, Jamie Lee Curtis, and the voice, at least, of Jack Black. I'm really not selling this movie very well, but I think that's the point. For me, the talk around this movie is that it's so bad, I'm probably more interested in seeing it now than if there wasn't. Also out, one for the kids, Australian animated movie 200% Wolf, which is a sequel to, you guessed it, 100% Wolf. Back home, though, plenty to stream. First up on Apple TV+, we have The Instigators, which is an action comedy heist film starring Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, so something of a mini Ocean's 11 reunion in a similar style movie. That's out now. On Netflix, the 4th and final season of The Umbrella Academy is out now. On Prime, One Fast Move. It's got KJ Apa from Riverdale. He was Archie. He plays a young man pushing through family dramas on his pursuit to become a professional motorcycle racer. And on Binge, Madam Web, the so bad it's still bad superhero-ish movie set within the world of Spider-Man, but not at all featuring Spider-Man because this story was apparently strong enough. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. At least that's what I've heard. Didn't bother hitting this in cinemas. It stars Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney. If you like me, Madam Web is also on Prime, not only on Binge, because apparently one streaming service just wasn't enough to keep up with the demand for Madam Web. That's all for this episode of What to Watch. We will be back next week with another one and break down some of those big announcements that we're at least expecting coming out of D23 this weekend. We'll see you next time.
The Ash, Lutzi and Susie O'Neill podcast is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.